Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook. Harmonious World is all about interviewing musicians, but this episode is slightly different because I am delighted that I was joined by Sara Karloff, who is actor Boris Karloff's only daughter. The reason I'm interviewing her is because friend of the show Michael Shapiro composed in the early 2000s a brand new original score to accompany live screenings of Frankenstein, in which Boris Karloff starred as the monster. Sara is going to be at Cadogan Hall in October when the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra performs the music with Michael conducting his own music. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal experience. And there's a link in the show notes for you to buy tickets. What you're listening to right now is also members of the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra playing Michael Shapiro's In the Light of the Sun with flautist Stathis Karapanos. And I was lucky enough to be in the studio when this was being recorded. Anyway, it's just a hint of both the RPO and Michael's compositions. So I hope you enjoy listening to my conversation with Sara Karloff. Thank you so much for joining me. So my podcast is called Harmonious World, and it's about people's experiences of how they're making the world a better place and what their experiences are with music and all of that. So I am absolutely delighted to be talking to you. So thank you, Sara Karloff, for joining me.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm delighted to speak with you.
Great stuff. So the reason that we're talking is because our mutual friend Michael Shapiro has written the score for the Frankenstein to accompany the screening of the film.
Yes.
Now, have you seen the film with his score?
Yes, one time I have. Only once, and I'm so anxious to see it again.
Well, me too. I saw it once in Milan. I travelled to Milan because it was the closest I could get. But of course,
that's quite a compliment to Michael.
Well, I'd spoken to him for the podcast, and I just was so enthused by what he had done in helping to sort of keep the film sort of present, bring it into a new life in the 21st century.
Indeed. That's exactly what he's done.
Yeah. So, obviously, you are, I say obviously, for my listeners, you are the daughter of Boris Karloff.
Yes, I am.
Now, one of the things that fascinates me is, of course, he wasn't born Boris Karloff. He acquired that name when he went to America.
Yes.
So
actually, a little earlier than that. He acquired it in British Columbia.
Oh, did he? Right.
Yes, when he was doing repertory theatre in British Columbia.
Right, because he was an incredibly famous English actor.
Yes.
And Frankenstein is his finest, or I think his most famous role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, it was his 81st film, and nobody had seen the first 80, he always said. He'd been in the business 20 years when he got his break. He'd been in repertory theatre for 10 years in British Columbia, doing 4 or 5 plays a week, and sometimes getting paid and sometimes not. And then he came down to America and down to Hollywood, and finally to do plays, really. And he hadn't thought about doing films, and eventually he auditioned for some films, and he made film after film, silent films, of course, first. And as I said, Frankenstein was his 81st film. And so he'd been around quite a while in the business before anybody knew who he was.
Yes.
But that was made a pivotal difference in his life, both personally and professionally.
Yes. And you are his only child, isn't that right?
I am. I
So although
am.
he was married 4 times.
Yes, 4 or 5. We've lost count.
So obviously, one of the reasons for talking to you is now because in October we are going to be seeing Frankenstein at the Cadogan Hall with Michael Shapiro's score performed by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and you're going to
Yes,
be there.
I certainly am going to try to be there. Yes, I had made a former commitment, and I'm trying to work my way around the first couple of days of that commitment so I can be at Michael's performance.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's not easy traveling um, at a more advanced age.
No, I don't mind traveling. I love to travel.
Yeah.
Um, and I was coming to England anyway.
Ah,
And to England and to Ireland. I have a college friend who lives in Northern Ireland, and so I was going to visit with her, and then come down to London where I have some friends, and then this popped up, and the dates coincide just very comfortably. So I'm thrilled to be able to appear at Michael's performance.
that's fantastic. And I'm sure everybody would be absolutely delighted if you can make it. That's such a brilliant thing. And I know Michael is really excited at the prospect of you being there.
Well, I'm going to do everything I possibly can. I think that the odds are 90 to 1 that I'll be there.
Good. Well, we'll take that for now. So, was your father aware of the huge success of the film?
Oh, yes, he was aware of how successful it was because of the difference it made in his life. But he was a very modest man, and he didn't lead a star's life at all. He was very modest, well, he was humble and grateful, exceedingly grateful for the position that film made in his the position that film made put him in the business. And he was a member. He was a founding member of the Screen Actors Guild. His card was number 9, and that work with SAG was extremely important to him because he had certainly paid his dues as an up and coming actor, and he believed that it was so important that up and coming actors have a vehicle by which they could voice their needs and their situations, and he was retained his membership. He got a life gold card from SAG. Eventually, he was a on the board of directors well into the 40s, and he just put his heart and soul into his work with the Screen Actors Guild. He told me well, my mother told me actually that when SAG was being formed, it was very dangerous for these actors to be have anything to do with it because it was the formation of a union opposing the producers and directors and the owners of the businesses and studios. And so my mother said they would go to these parties and dance by one another and whisper, meeting Tuesday night at so and so's house, and dance on by. Or they'd park
Wow.
their cars blocks away from one another's house and walk to a meeting. It was really they were very brave and very dedicated to the formation of SAG because they were putting their careers on the line. They were running the risk of being blackballed and never working again.
Yes.
So my father was dedicated to his work with the Screen Actors Guild.
And I'm sure that played its role in, ensuring that actors could have a decent life. Because the part of the problem with being an actor, I know, is that you earn a huge amount of money for a brief period of time, but then you might not work for, several months or, um,
or a year or two.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you never know when the next role is coming along, and you don't necessarily earn a huge amount of money. My father was paid $500 for doing Frankenstein. When you can,
Wow.
when you consider the difference that Frankenstein made to the studio, which was in financial downward fall at the moment that they made that film, and what that film did for that studio. And my father was paid $500.
Wow.
So that's not, even back then, that was not a huge amount of money. My father lost 25 pounds during the making of the film, and he was already a starving actor. Um, it was, they would, it took 4 hours to put the makeup on and took 3.5 hours to take the makeup off. That's already a normal working day. And then he would work for another 9 hours. So it was a 19-hour workday for him. And under very, very difficult circumstances, the wardrobe weighed, I think, in excess of 50 pounds. And he was a skinny actor. When he took on the role, he was an extremely skinny actor when he finished the role. But of course, to be okay because it made him a star instead of an extra or
Yes.
uh, you know, he was working just about full time by that time, but he was no star. And that role made a pivotal difference in his life.
I think that your father is responsible for one of the big mistakes that people make in life, which is that they call Frankenstein
Yeah.
the monster, but he has no name. He is the monster, and Frankenstein is the
He's the
doctor that
monster or
created
the
him.
creature
Yeah.
or whatever, yes.
Yes, and I think your father's portrayal of him, I mean, it's an incredible book, obviously by Mary Shelley, but your father's portrayal of the creature was sort of really brought out the humanity of this creation.
Um, my father said that kids got it. They understood that the creature was the victim and not the perpetrator. And
Yeah.
if you really look at the role, he was indeed the victim. He reacted. He was not the one that generated the violence in the film, what violence it was. He was reacting to the violence directed at him. Um, Kids, the little girl Maria in the film loved my father and wanted to ride with him in the car and held his hand and was not afraid of him at all. My father's, I think, one of the secrets of his portrayal was that my father's um, a genuine kindness as a human being and genuine gentleness as a human being came through his portrayal of this iconic role. And he could portray it and do violence reactively, but not proactively. And his own gentleness of spirit came through. Um, and I think that's what made it such a an enduring role and enduring film. It
Indeed.
wasn't just a violent film.
No, no, absolutely not.
You
Absolutely. And I
felt
think,
sorry for you felt sorry for the creature.
yeah, definitely. And I think that's what Mary Shelley was showing that, the mastermind that, Frankenstein himself was the villain in a way.
Well, he certainly was more, he was the creator
Yeah.
of the
Yes.
violence. I
Yes.
don't know if you've seen Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Yes.
It certainly follows Mary Shelley's story much more accurately, and is a beautiful film. And the father-son relationship comes through, as does the creator and the creature comes through, and you get more of um, the fact that the creature is um, reacting, not actively violent, but is reacting to violence in Guillermo's film.
Yes. Indeed. So you've seen the film with Michael Shapiro's soundtrack. What did you think of Michael's music?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it adds so much to the film um, that I mean, the film stands on its own legs. Michael's music stands on its own legs. Put the two of them together, and it's just beautiful. It really
Yes.
is absolutely beautiful. It's a wonderful experience to watch that film with Michael's music.
Yes. And was Michael conducting when you saw it?
Yes,
Yes, because that was the same with my experience. And actually that was really special because there's always something very precious about seeing a composer at the podium, at the conductor's podium,
yes.
conducting the orchestra. And I think especially Michael seems to have a real connection with this music in particular and with the film. And I think watching him conduct it is very moving.
Well, it's their baby.
Yeah, yeah,
It's their baby. And
definitely.
it's of course it adds a specialty to
Yeah.
there's an adoration of their creation
Yes.
and a closeness and an understanding of the music and its connection to what to how it fits with the film.
Yes. What has your life been like? So you've always lived in America, is that right? Even though your
Yes,
father was British.
yes. I've always lived in America, um, mainly in California, which is waning. Um, but I love Great Britain. I love London. I love the fact that I'm half British, but I am an American citizen.
Yeah. Yes. And of course your father died in the UK, didn't he? He came back to Surrey.
Yes, he died in the UK. He didn't go home to die. He
No.
went home after he had finished work, a particular job here in the United States, and he went home between jobs. And unfortunately, he fell ill and didn't recover from it. He died of emphysema.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes. But what an amazing life he had and what an amazing legacy he's left.
Oh, he's left absolutely an amazing legacy. His fans are incredible. They know far more about his career than I could ever learn. And I learn something every time I speak anywhere, anytime I attend a convention anywhere. I learn something from the fans. They are so thoughtful. They are so kind. I'm nothing but a conduit for people who wish they'd had an opportunity to meet my father. And they have interesting stories to share with me about when perhaps they did meet my father, but that would make them very old. Um, Questions they wish they had had a chance to ask my father, stories that their parents or grandparents told them about their experience or their following of my father. It's just so worthwhile, and it's so I appreciate it so much. And I'm doing a show the latter part of April in New Jersey, a show I do every year, but usually in October. And I really look forward to doing these conventions because of the fans. It's the fans that have given my father's legacy such long legs, and because of my father himself. He was so modest and so giving and so good with his fans that history is carried forward, and then the fans have picked up on it, and everything they have read about him um, has been positive. He's one of the few people in the business about whom nothing negative has ever been written or said. And so the fans are courteous, curious, polite, um, wonderful to me, and generous in sharing family stories. And they're wonderful. And it's because of them that his legacy has the long legs that it has.
Yeah, and of course now this music by Michael Shapiro is helping to perhaps bring it to a new generation who hadn't seen it.
Indeed, indeed, it's regenerating an interest in the film, and Michael's music adds so much to that interest and
Yes.
so much to the whole experience. And it's exposing the film through Michael's music to audiences that may not have seen the film, may not ever have desired to go see the film. They are going because of Michael's music. And it's opening it up to whole new generations of people, whole
Yeah.
new audiences.
Yes, it's a wonderful thing. Oh, it's such a pleasure to talk to you, Sarah. Thank you so much. And I really hope I get to meet you in person in October.
Oh, I hope so too. I will be there. I'm convinced I'm going to be there, so I will be there.
Excellent. Well, so will I. So I shall definitely see you there then.
Well, I look forward to meeting you. Thank you so much for this talk. It's been much fun and very delightful, and I've learned. Again, I've learned, see?
It was such a pleasure to chat with Sara Karloff about Frankenstein the film, about her father, about Michael Shapiro's music. What you're listening to now is In the Light of the Sun, the third movement, with this fantastic flute. It's a flute concerto, but it's just such a beautiful piece of music, and the musicians of the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra did such a great job on this, and I'm sure we'll do so again in October for the screening of Frankenstein with Michael Shapiro conducting his own score. So thank you for joining me once more for Harmonious World, and I hope you have a very, very good week. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.